Hey folks, welcome back to Peace of Mind Kayak Fishing. This video is from the 10th of April, and I'm fishing Cay Creek on Clarks Hill Lake. Now, I'm actually going to flash the conditions on the screen. So they were partly cloudy, low of 39 when I started, got up to about 66 degrees. Winds were variable, fairly light. It was gusting to 10. And the visibility is much improved from last time. I have my two ultralights for crappie and my one heavier one for bass and striper. But things rarely go according to plan. But first thing was a nice bass off of the pylons underneath a bridge that is under construction. The wind had essentially turned both sides of this small bridge into wind-blown points, and they also have riprap. So in terms of structure, just fantastic. Just a convergence of factors to make them great. I can't resist the slow-mo for the jumps, man. It's too much fun. But eventually pull this one in, and again, I am fishing about 4 to 5 feet under the float for the length of the distance between hook and float. With that small split shot, about 4 to 5 inches up from the hook to make sure the minnow stays down at the depth I want him to be at. But this fish right here fought getting thumbed for a while. It's stubborn, real stubborn. But nice fish to start the day. And I think she's probably in the neighborhood of about 17 inches or so. Just a real nice, real decent largemouth. But for having stained water, it's not a bad send-off video here. Watch the left side of the screen. It gets a real good shot right here. To keep watching. There she goes. Now these construction barriers, these foam yellow buoys, they hang down about 5 or 6 feet. And the bass is on one side, my rod's on the other. I thought for sure she was going to snap me off on it. I thought for sure she was.
Bass. Real nice. Oh my gosh. Much bigger than I thought.
It was a good fish, man.
This is a big bass.
Like, had she had a little more weight on her, she would have probably been pushing 5 pounds. It was a real nice fish.
I do mean a big one. Hope the line and hook holds. Oh, got off.
Now something happened there. I think the bobber slipped.
Nope. No, I still got him.
It felt like I had lost the fish, but I did not.
That is probably more likely. God bless. Look at that bass. Oh, it's the biggest bass I caught in a while. The biggest bass I hooked in a while.
Yeah, I've lost a lot of nice bass this spring, unfortunately. I've had a lot of 5, 6, 7 pound bass on this spring and lost them. Kind of depressing like that, but I've also had some other really good times.
Got her.
But this fish, when I measured her, ended up being about 23 inches long. And doing the math, she'd end up being right around 4 pounds. Right around it. Like you can see, she's not emaciated. She's not real thin, but she's not that thick either. Had she been well fed, I have no doubt this fish could have pushed 5 pounds. I mean, she was 23 inches long. Yeah, that universal test for a big bass, can your fist fit in the largemouth mouth? And just barely with this one, but you know you're dealing with a decent, good-sized bass when you can do it. There she goes. So long, beauty.
Fish on?
And this ended up being the third largemouth that I caught off of that riprap. I caught them on the leading edge, where the wind was blowing, and on the trailing edge, where it was creating the eddies. So, it can be beneficial to fish both sides of that. And I had a hit or two and a miss. The fish is pulling. I had a hit or two or a miss on the zoom fluke, but pretty much all the fish, if not all the fish you'll see landed in this video,
If I was keeping bass today, I'd be set.
came on the minnow and float rig.
So far I got a 16-incher and a 23-incher. Let's see what this big girl ends up being. Yeah, it's another big bass. A real nice bass.
But these Clark's Hill bass, I don't know if it's because they roll with stripers so often or what it is, but they fight, man. They fight way harder than the pond bass I normally catch. Now these are your standard Snell or J hooks right here. In a video that I have coming up in the near future, I've switched over to circle hooks. And I'll give you the video testimonial later. But as a verbal testimonial for now, I can't recommend enough circle hooks, especially if you're live bait fishing. I mean, they are phenomenal. I thought it was all hype. I really did. I thought it was all hype, but I've started using them, and they're excellent for the hook, for holding the fish. But then when you want to get the hook out, it just comes right out, even on a gut hook. Oh, they're spectacular. Those new circle hooks. Yeah, I've discussed it before. Once you fish for a while, you'll be able to tell a fish by its fight. Usually with striper, you're going to have long, drag peeling runs. With largemouth, you might have runs, but a lot of times largemouth are also going to give you jumps and more head shakes than will a striper. When you're dealing with a catfish, you're going to feel head shakes, and they're going to spin a lot, especially the smaller ones. But this one right here, should have known this one was a striper because she went on repeated long runs. They just try to motor. They just try to break that line through sheer strength. But as the year goes on, I just keep catching more and more fish out of Kayak Creek. It just gets... as the weather gets warmer, the fishing gets hotter.
And here on Clark's Hill, there is no minimum size for stripers.
Well, I'll make a verbal note of it here. Clark's Hill Lake, no minimum size on stripers. Downstream from Stromthurman Dam, 27-inch minimum. And the note on that in regards to your health. The larger the fish, the higher the mercury content. The smaller the fish, the lower the mercury content, all things being equal. Just the bigger the fish, the more time they've had to accumulate mercury, and the more forms of life they've likely ingested along the way, ingesting their mercury as well as time has gone on. So it's just something to think about. I mean, mercury is a cumulative effect neurotoxin, but those advisories exist for a reason when it comes to different bodies of water, them advising you to eat only fish like once or twice a week, 3 times a week, whatever it may be. It's the mercury. It's a sad state, but that's where we are with the environment. I mean, should do our best to clean it up. Having a fish advisory is a hell of a thing. I'm wrong. It is a striper. This one definitely is a striper. It's not a bass. But yes, like the note says, I run 2 lines. Sometimes if I'm throwing an artificial, I'll have 3 lines in the water at the same time. Eventually it'll catch up with you. Eventually you'll have a fish that'll tow you in a circle and wrap all 3 of your lines together and just make a hell of a mess. Now you see this rod and reel in my hand I'm using right now? I miss it. I miss it a great deal because in an upcoming video, not too long from this one, a striper relieves me of this rod. And I have no idea how big the striper was. I honestly have no idea. I guarantee it was at least 10 pounds. But beyond that, I have no idea. But I'll try to link in the comments here to the video that cost me this rod and reel. I love this ultralight, or I loved this ultralight gear. Now, once upon a time, I had hemostats, like any good fisherman should, but managed to lose them. Not the first time either. You get excited with a fish, you don't put them back, and then you just feel something hit, or feel or hear something hit the water, and you look down, and it was your hemostat sinking to the bottom. It happens. So you need to be more careful. But nice stringer here going today. My GoPro ends up dying before I can catch the entire stringer on video, but I still catch most of the action, or at least a good amount of it. But I think, like I've said before, striper fishing is a lot of fun if you're holding the rod and reel. Not that much fun to fight, or excuse me, to watch. Because if you're watching it, for the most part, stripers are just going to dog you out, just try to run. Which is a lot of fun, like I said, if you're behind the reel, but for watching, not that much fun. The largemouth, on the other hand, that's a more fun fighting fish, man, throwing in those jumps. It's a pretty good set of pliers. I have to thank my time in the Army for that acquisition. Some RFI. A pretty fish here. Didn't catch the full release video, but get one nice close up. Yeah, when this fish first took off, I saw her take off underneath my boat, but I had no idea what it was. No idea. It was just so big I didn't think it was a crappie, but that's exactly what it was. Look at that slab. Man, Clark's Hill crappie, I swear. But yes, my battery's about to die, so we get our last good view at this monster crappie here. The stringer, and we're off. Now, since then, like this note you're going to see in a second states, I've acquired 2 more batteries. So in the future, I shouldn't have my video cut short by lack of battery power. So with that said, thanks for watching. Please feel free to subscribe. Have a good one. Tight lines. I'll see you out there.